right, here we are for the top 8 of the Nerd Rage Modern Team event here in Indianapolis this weekend. Mason Clark, Joe Lissette for Nerd Rage Gaming. Thanks for being with us. Sorry for the delay. Top 8 seems like they are ready to go, and we have some notable players. We have some big names that are here to play. We're gonna go ahead and go to the table when they are ready. We've got players notable on the circuit. We've got players from California. There's actually, as far as I know, there were at least 2 teams from California that went to the event, so that's pretty cool. There were 106 teams altogether, so great attendance. So awesome. All the players showed up this weekend, and all of you that came to watch. Mason, you're still with me here. What do we who do you think has the biggest reputation as we're waiting for the players again? Like, who's the most threatening player on the NRG series? If you're playing for something, who do you not? No, you know what? We'll table that. We'll come back to that later. They are ready. So we've got Justin Brickman, Ken Yeoh, and Dylan McNamara versus Zach Allen, Raja Sulaliman, Ivan Espinosa. Ivan, a former Nerd Race Championship winner. Raja also, and Zach Allen recently retired from Magic, and yet here he is in the top 8 again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we talked about Ivan and Raja are 2 years ago champion and last year champion of the NRG series here, and Zach Allen got dangerously close to it, but didn't end up quite making it. But a solid team nonetheless, and we're going to be seeing a little Scam versus Amulet here. And it's going to be, a kind of a fun matchup. This is a deck that Zach Allen used to play a lot of 2-3 years ago, right before COVID hit. And, it looks like he's picked it back up and is enjoying it.
Yeah, okay. Facing Justin Brickman playing Scam. Now, Justin Brickman, longtime associate of the NRG Series, both as an employee and as a player. I don't even know how you would just, like, what did they call the people that go along on concerts and help put things together and then enjoy it? They're like roadies, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Justin Brickman is almost like the Nerd Rage roadie.
Nice. That's a good way to put it. By the way, I think I know my answer to your question, if you were curious.
Okay.
I think
I am curious. Okay.
Yeah. That's my answer. If I go to an NRG event, someone who plays a good amount of the events, doesn't play all of them, but plays the ones she can get to. I think she is the one person I would cash my never have to play against card in.
Okay, that's a good card. That should be a feature on the 2024 circuit.
Mm-hmm.
You could be able to set it up. Anyway, we are underway. Justin Brickman down a card with a Blood Crypt. We are now in the top 8, so the players will know the matchups ahead of time. They will know the deck lists. So Justin knows what he's up against. And Teleria West tapped. That's not the scariest opening.
Yeah, typically these Scam decks, they try to mulligan very aggressively early. You want to have something like what Brickman's doing here, a turn 1 Scam and something, or a Ragavan, or have a high impact sideboard card. So it wouldn't surprise me if Brickman has something like Blood Moon in hand, and we just mulligan to that with the ability to like top deck into the Scam, and we've done it.
Yeah, and you're right. That would have done it. That will do it. A Blood Moon here would be devastating, especially with the Urza Saga dropped this turn. If Brickman comes across for 8. And I think there's a Blood Moon. We'd see it already. So
yeah.
Not the case. Zach does have several more land. I think a Summoner's Pact. It's just waiting on the Amulet. Oh, there is one in hand. So he's ready to go if he's got the goods.
Yeah, I think that was his pickup for this turn here. I think he's trying to see if he can actually get the kill. He can definitely, if he has a bounce land, play Amulet, play the bounce land, pick up either the lands or the bounce land itself, depending on how you want to do it. Play the Dryad and get another land into play. You can also just play the Dryad, play another basic force, for example, and then play the Amulet to set up for the kill next turn. So Alan's just figuring out exactly how he wants to play this turn out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, maybe we're still having, getting into the match, or then we'll get the life totals updated. As we know, Zach is at 12 at this point.
Now, this matchup traditionally favored Scam, but we've seen where it's not like a slam dunk all the time, especially if you don't have a card like Blood Moon. We saw Dominic Harvey top 8, the Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, beating this matchup 5 of the 6 times he played it across the Swiss. So it is definitely doable.
Yeah. No, obviously well there. Although then it was in the top 4. I know it was on camera. I believe it was in the top 4 where Jake Beardsley did finally manage to end his run. with if I remember correctly, it featured several Dorothy Voidwalkers playing Dominic's cards and then being rebought and doing it again, which is a lot to overcome. Justin here, okay. I mean, yeah, Fury is a great threat. Like you said, it would be much better if it happened on turn 1 and was threatening lethal this turn.
Yeah, the fact that Zach now can just take this attack and leave the Dryad in play means that Brickman is probably going to be dead on the next turn if there's something like a Primeval Titan in hand here for Zach Allen.
All right, Bowmasters. Not sure that notably changes the clock on its own.
Yeah, you can attack with it, and won't really move the needle unless there's like a bolt.
Yeah. And even dispatching the Dryad doesn't necessarily mean that Zach won't be able to win next turn. Here's an attack with just a Fury.
Brickman is at 18. He did double fetch at the end of turn, so the Primeval Titan will be able to double strike kill. Also, we have a second Amulet coming or an Expedition map for Zach, depending on what he wants to do with his Urza Saga. So, potentially a very powerful turn coming here for him. Just picked up the One Ring, which I think is his second copy in hand.
Well, that'll work too. For the moment, at least. Yeah, there's a second Amulet, like you said, and actually a third one's available with the Mycosynth Gardens.
Yeah, if we have a bounce land, we got all the mana.
Yeah, that's all it's going to take, it looks like.
So I think what might be happening here is Zach doesn't have a Titan, and so we're probably going to see something like play the One Ring, draw a card, then fall to 2 from the trigger, play the One Ring again, figure out if we can afford to draw a card or not, and then try and get a Titan. Oh, it does look like he actually has Summoner Pact in the middle of his hand. Sorry about that. It looked like he just had One Ring a second ago.
That's 5 mana.
And this is an interesting spot too, where Zach can get the Titan and can go for the kill, but if Brickman has something like Terminate, then getting the haste will mean we'll actually potentially die to the pack trigger or be tapped out because of it. So really tough spot here for Zach to figure out exactly how he wants to navigate.
Yeah, 5 mana plus there was a Saga floating mana, so that was 6. So that's how the Titan gets cast. I mean, we could see here with the Titan coming down, the One Ring could follow. So even if the Titan gets picked off, Zach maybe will survive without a ton of difficulty. A couple more lands showing here. Although I guess with 2 amulets, can he give it haste and be able to float enough mana to drop a ring? That would be 1, 2, 3.
No, he's lacking a little to do both.
Yeah.
He can, however, though, grab Valakut and the haste land. And what this is going to do is it's going to trigger the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. And then Dryad's going to make it so those lands can tap for mana as well. I mean, of any color. So Brickman's going to be forced to go after the Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which means we'll be left with the Primeval Titan in play, which will at least trade for the Fury if we have to do it. All right, I think if Brickman had it, he probably would have replied there, but looks like Zach is going to attempt to. Oh, he had kind of tapped his lands and then pointed to it, but he might just be thinking about exactly how he wants to do it. He does just have 2 rings in hand, so like you mentioned, we could just float all our mana here, play the ring, have protection. Feels like a very safe line, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like in order to get through that, Justin would probably have to draw almost exactly Blood Moon.
Agreed. Yeah, and this is the thing where Zach's like, okay, my opponent kept kind of a slower hand, had something going on, right? Because they didn't have the turn 1 Fury, and they kept a 6-card hand. So Zach's like, it's not Blood Moon. It wasn't a scam on the turn one. Probably didn't keep a Bowmaster hand against me. So it's maybe reasoning that the only thing that makes sense is there's some sort of removal that was going to back up the small amount of pressure Brickman had.
So if Zach Allen goes for the win here, or at least goes for broke here by giving haste, and Brickman has a removal spell, Zach isn't guaranteed dead, but he'd be in a rough spot. If he goes for the ring, it seems pretty safe, barring precisely Blood Moon, and he does go for the ring here.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like the wise decision to me. I like this choice. Justin does have Terminate.
I like this choice a lot. This just makes sense. Just put yourself in a good spot. Force Brickman. Not even everyone main decks their Blood Moons anymore. So, you might not even have that to worry about. And Zach knows that. We don't yet. We don't actually have the deck list in front of us. But, it looks like Brickman drew. And, I assume if he had Blood Moon, he would have slammed it. He's going to upkeep both Zach, though.
That's going to... Is there...
I don't think there's something. Zach can't draw a card with the ring.
Right. This is well timed by Brickman. This is exactly the window, and
Zach Allen regretting not grabbing Radiant Fountain here. Clearly,
struggling to think of a single card here that Zach could draw. I mean, this is not what the deck does. He's gonna draw, because why wouldn't you? It's a Summoner's Pact.
Okay, if there was a card that could do anything, it's that one. So Generous Int only gives you the food token if it enters the battlefield. So that means we have that going on. I think Zach might just be dead.
Yeah, and that's it. Justin Brickman grabs game one. Well, look at that. That was pretty entertaining stuff there.
Yeah, that was a wild game there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and Justin sits on the Terminate. Zach Allen, I think what we saw correctly based on what Justin had plays a removal spell, but it just seemed like the right decision overall. And okay, you accept that you're screwed to a Blood Moon, but yeah, Lightning Bolt wasn't out also, and that's what Justin drew, and that worked. We are going to jump to the middle of another match because we have that privilege. This is the team event, so let's go back to the tables. We are at Blue Eye Control versus 4-color, and you know what? That's a Days Undoing and a Narset, protected by Teferi for Raja Sulaliman. So let's go ahead and jump to Dylan McNamara and Ivan Espinosa if they're playing. Okay, and no joy for us. Everyone is sideboarding. So Tron up a game on the bottom was the last result. Okay, Tron. So let's go through the matchups here while we have a moment. Tron versus Blue Eye Control. I have a lot of experience in that one, and I'm going to say Tron is solidly favored in game one, probably. Sideboard Blue Eye Control. I mean, you're not going to have. Well, when we say Blue Eye Control, people have. Blue Eye Control decks these days are practically 7 colors, so everyone's got everything. But the cast triggers of Tron are still going to dominate. Are still an advantage like they were years ago. So I would say no fluke there, Tron being up a game. How do you feel about right? And then we talked a little bit about this earlier, I think during the break, but Scam versus Titan. You said Dominic Harvey went on a run versus Scam, but then got tripped up eventually in the top 4 of the Pro Tour. In the long run, how do you think that matchup's going to play out? You think Titan's favored?
Yeah, I think Scam is favored.
Okay.
I think Titan just has the ability to do it. One of the things about Amulet Titan is no matter how bad your matchup is, your deck does have turn 2, turn 3 kills. And if your opponent isn't knowing what the matchup is going in, sometimes they'll keep hands that just don't interact in the right ways, and you just lose the game. And really, I think that sort of run is more of a leaning in towards Dominic Harvey, one of our co-commentators, being a master of the Amulet deck more than anything. I think the average person, when they play up that matchup, it's going to be slightly favored Scam, but not unwinnable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you were saying, Blood Moon's not as present in main decks as they used to be for Scam. So that's going to shift the game one advantage towards Amulet more than it used to be. The last match in the middle, someone asking who won that one, that was Raja picking it up. Looked like Teferi and Narset with Days Undoing. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, the Narset Days Undoing combo, something we've seen blue-white control players go to as a way to go over the top of these 4-color decks that typically have more threats than they do, and sometimes even have more answers. And also just in general, no matter how bad your matchup is, if you draw a step of Days Undoing with somebody with a Narset in play, they lose all their cards, you get 7 cards. Things have to be really bad for you to lose there. So Raja, one of our control masters in the series, not surprised to see him doing that.
Yeah, and Narset just in general, against these up to the beanstalk decks, they're planning on supporting all of their 2-for-1s as we're hitting back down to the table right now with beanstalk card replenishment, and Narset's just going to shut that down. Raja does pick up game 1. We'll see. Actually,
Raja won. We have Ivan here versus Tron.
Yeah, I was going to say that does not look like Raja. Raja's arm. So we're on. We're on the bottom. I thought we were going to the middle match. That's what happened. Okay. Anyway, I have an Espinosa with 4-color control. Down a game to Tron. The mulligan count is obviously very relevant in this match, and it looks like Dylan might have kept 7. That's bad news for Tron opponents.
Yeah, assuming your Tron player is good, which I'm going to assume they are if they're in the top 8 of our event, keeping 7 is not a good sign for you.
No, not generally. No turn 1 play. If a Tron deck is keeping 7 with no turn 1 play, I would then lean towards thinking they actually have Tron in hand.
Bit of an oldie but a goodie here for 4-color from Ivan. Utopia Sprawl going on that Zagoth Triumph. The thing we haven't seen much of since really the first couple of weeks of 4-color entering the metagame.
Yeah, that's true. That isn't something. I mean, there's been halflings now running around, and then like you said a couple hours ago, maybe not even halflings in all the decks anymore. And there's a second Tron land for Dylan. There's a chromatic. I guess we can assume that came off the top since it wasn't played last turn, unless there was some reason why he would have held it.
Yeah, maybe some weird, I'm afraid of prismatic ending type stuff happening, but...
Okay, yeah, you're right. No, that's something that happens. That's a realistic thing to be concerned about.
Yeah, and, I'm going to trust you, Joe, on being a Tron expert here. I think we got Tron in hand, so it's probably just looking for what's our biggest, baddest boomist we can draw. What one would you think, theoretically, you could... if you could pick anything off the top of your deck, what would it be?
Well, it wasn't Forest, I can tell you that.
Write that down.
But I think there's already a great creator in Dylan's hand. I think something we saw the Pro Tour Tron decks greatly diminish the number of card liberateds, which I think hurts in matchups like this, is particularly when you're on the play, because it gives you fewer threats that hit on lands, and hitting lands is a big deal in these matchups. Something like Wormcoil Lynch, you're not going to be very excited about here. When you get to 8 mana, Sundering Titan's obviously a powerhouse. And there's Ivan's Karn. That is something that I have run up against a few times against Ivan. He likes playing these Karns in his 4-color decks. And while it's great to have, some of it a wish board against some people, it's also just a huge disruptive piece in the mirror. And the Forest follows. Okay, so Dylan didn't have the Tron.
Yeah, we must have drawn Sylvan Scrying here since we are Sylvan Scrying for the tower this turn.
All right. Well, that means we're down a land. We're never, unless there's a Pithing Needle in hand, which is unlikely. Dylan is now cut off.
That's game.
Yeah, from ever having Tron. This is there could be maybe a Nature's Claim or something to kill Liquid Oil Coating, but that's not even good. That wouldn't really make a ton of sense either. This looks like Ivan is poised to even up this match.
Yeah, I think Boseiju is the only card I can think of that would matter in this spot. And, Ivan might even be able to play around that here in just a little bit. If you can get to Fairy, take it up, Instant Speed, Prismatic Ending my own Liquid Metal Coating, you can get some wild stuff going on for sure. So definitely a rough spot. I see some people in chat asking, this is not a unified event, so players can overlap in cards.
Yeah, even though unified sounds cool in theory, and I tend to favor it, but I am one vote among many. The players seem to vote with their attendance in favor of preferring non-unified events.
It's a really cool thought experiment, I think, but in practice, it just makes it so hard for you to show up and just game with the homies. Also, we have a team in our top 8, all scam. Couldn't do that if it was unified.
That's very true. And Ivan here protecting, from the Boseiju plan that you mentioned, this would be one of the only ways out of this. Ivan rescues his liquid metal coating from the board, so that's not an option. So Dylan, even if he would have chosen his top deck there, it's still not going to work.
Ivan has Damping Sphere in hand, I think. I think he boarded it in.
He has, yeah, he boards in one. I've had this happen against him before. He boards in the wish targets because if he draws Karn, it's already good anyway. So he may as well just have the wish targets so there's additional good draws in the deck.
I love it. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah, Dylan goes with the Boseiju. Did you go after the green source now?
I mean, there's just gonna be. I don't know. I think. I don't know that there is a coherent plan from this point because unless he drops Pithing Needle on Karn, just nothing that Dylan does is going to matter.
Yeah. It's so awkward. Yeah, because when you pass 2, it's not like you have any, instant speed stuff that you could do if you wanted to with Teferi in play. Oh, Ivan's slamming quickly here. Omnath. Full art, no text.
Well, who needs text? Everyone knows what it does. It does everything. Yeah. Is it Dark Ritual? Yes. Is it Lightning Bolt? Yes. Does it gain life? Yes.
Yeah.
It draws cards. It's basically all of the original 1-mana cycle of cards. It does all of them.
Yeah, it is true. I was realizing that as you were saying. I never thought of that before. That's very funny. Looks like Ivan is going to shock. Goes up a life thanks to Omnath getting 4. Yeah. And that's going to mean Ivan can play a bunch of cards. We could potentially see, he's wishing again with Karn.
Yeah, he's not. If you're Dylan and your opponent decides, you know what, I could destroy one of your land for free, and I think I can do better than that, you're really in rough shape. This maybe Stonebrain on the remaining Tron land? No, it's just going to be we play the coding. Oh, he changed his mind, I guess?
It looks like he double-checked his sideboard and decided that he wasn't going to do it. So it might be a moment of him trying to shortcut.
And there's the Damping Sphere. Maybe it's possible. Maybe he forgot that he already did the liquid metal coating thing and then forgot that it was in his hand instead of in the sideboard.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend. These players played Magic the whole time. Sometimes they go out and have a fun night before, so not out of range should be tired.
What would you say Dylan's chance of coming back and winning this game is? Is it sub 0.1%?
Sub 0.1%. I'll give him 1% because I think
1%. All right.
Ivan could draw unbelievably terribly, and we do have the Boseiju for the liquid metal coating now, so we are out from under the gun. But I think it is not a good spot to be.
If you had agreed on sub 10th, I would have said let's switch to a different match. But if you think this one is worth continuing on, we'll do it.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that, Joe. I think it's just 1%.
Let's go ahead and switch over. If somehow Dylan makes inroads on this, we'll come back.
At
but
least
he
we
just
can come in and say hi.
Plays a chromatic sphere here that cannot draw a card or filter. So yeah, it's not looking good. And here we are with Blue Control Mirror. Ken versus Raja. Oh, okay. Well, there's a Beanstalk and there's a that's a Narset, right? On the other side? No, it's a
counterspell.
That's a counter. I was gonna say the timing makes it a counterspell, even though it looks like a body. There's a counterspell I recognize.
Yeah, and I think Roger's actually probably playing a deck pretty close to NRG blue-white control list that he actually won the Brainstorm Showdown with. And that is the deck that, of the 4-color piles, I'm the one the most interested in playing. So it's cool to see Roger kind of come from a similar place. And Narset is being played by Ken.
Yeah, see, I just know the future. I had my eyes closed and I was just, conjuring what was going to happen next is what all that was. All right, so there is Force Negation in Raj's hand. Also in Ken's hand, Kenmin's hand, but that's not relevant.
All right, here's an idea. So we think the bottom match, it's going to go to Ivan. Then they're going to go to game 3.
Yeah.
We got some control mirror action here. It's going to be a while. Should we at least pop in and see how Brickman versus Zach's doing, even if it's just a little 20-second little, hey, how you doing? Come on back.
We probably should. I want to see the resolution of this Narset, and then we'll do that. So there's okay. We'll just do it now. Okay, we're back here. All right, there's the counter back. Narset resolves. It appears. Well, actually, I take that back. There's more interaction in Raja's hand.
Yeah, we have a subtlety, so we could subtlety this Narset if Raja thinks it's a huge problem. Now, he also has Leyline binding, but he's not going to get to draw a card off his bean with that. So this is resolved. Right. Raja's probably going to hit that with a binding and end of turn, so his bean's online. Let's go see how Brickman versus Zach Allen is doing, because this matchup is the quickest one, and we're probably going to be here for a bit no matter what.
All right. Production, you heard it. Mason says, let's go look at Justin versus Zach. Here we are. 1 amulet in play, 2 amulets in play, the one ring in play, a chalice for 0, dismember revealed, probably, and no creatures for Justin.
Yeah. And chalice, very nice in this matchup as a way to stop them from chaining Titans. Typically something that the blue, white, and 4-color control decks do because they go forever anyway, so you kind of need that. Don't always see it from Scam. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
And there is a Summoner's Pact in Zach's hand right now, so that chalice is relevant. 7 land is probably more than Fury would ever want to dream of having an entire match, much less one game. But Fury does come down here.
And Zach just has the 1 ring a going.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain much of an advantage in the face of that in the opposition.
Yeah, it looks like we have Tear Asunder in hand, so we can Tear Asunder down that Chalice of the Void if we want to.
Zach heard you last game. The Radiant Fountain is in play.
Yeah. Zach felt the pain last game.
Okay, the Tear Asunder takes out Chalice, exiles that. And the Pact is coming. And maybe a Titan's coming to Rumble.
That's
3 amulets is a lot.
Yeah, so we have a Teleria West in hand. That's going to enter the battlefield tapped. Trigger our 3 amulets, which untaps it. Yeah, that's a Microsynth Garden that is an amulet. It's just tapped because whatever, who cares? Well, it looks like we actually have the Boros Garrison. So that's going to make 6 red, white mana, pick up the forest, and then we're going to be able to play the Titan, give it haste, and attack Brickman. We can also play every Titan in our deck because we can go grab all the Simic Ghost Chambers, all the Teleria West, grab them all. So even if Brickman had 1 Terminate, it wouldn't be good enough. So I guess we should hop in on Ivan since we left him. He's still playing.
All right. Let's see if that. Oh, you'll be that one. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Debussier's still on the board. Khan's still on the board.
So we Tormont Crypt ourselves to get the Liquid Metal Coating back from the card after getting it Bosagi'd. So Ivan was like, you're stuck in here with me.
Yeah. So we do. There's the needle. Dylan does have the needle. Name's Liquid Metal Coating. That solves 1 problem.
Yeah. Maybe we have an answer to the Karn.
Yeah, I think Ivan is looking at the middle match right now.
Yeah, Ivan's like, whatever. Let me know when it's my turn again. Again, though, I guess part of the problem with Pithy Needle is Teferi also just bounces it, right?
Yeah. Or that.
All right. I know we left this match early before. Okay, nice. Yeah,
all right.
The Dylan's done too. All right. we
Back to the control mirror.
All right, we'll buckle in. We'll be here for a bit.
Okay, so you were right about the binding on the Narset. We've got more cards in here. Okay. Oh, that Saltu is not in play. It was on the stack.
Yeah, it looks like that the Narset might be on top of the binding, but I think that's what's happening there is it got binding.
Yeah.
And it looks like Roger deployed a subtlety at some point and is getting the beatdowns all. Yeah, production, if we want to change Roger's deck name to Burn real quick because subtlety's on that beatdown, feel free to do it if need be. The ring.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a generally good and powerful card. Although in this matchup, you have to play the dance of do you even activate it or not? At what time? Because, well, never mind. It's not going to make it into play because of the threat of Leyline binding. Well, okay, force back.
Yeah, notably does get exiled if there's any Snapcasters in Raj's deck.
All right, it's in there. There is a Days Undoing in Raj's hand. That's a card that you don't often want to play for fairly, but sometimes you may not have a choice.
Beans. Yeah, Raja has Counterspell, Solitude, and something else in his hand. We might just see Raja instep a Solitude as a draw 2. Well, it looks like he's going to main phase it. Oh, it's Lorien revealed, draw 5.
All right, not too bad.
Tidings could never.
Yeah. The opportunity looks real bad. I mean, that costs 6.
Yeah.
We've
And
come a long way.
double land either.
Yeah. All right, but ring. I mean, ring draws 2. That's still a lot. It used to be in normal times.
Oh, Minamo untapped the ring.
Yeah. All right. Life total is updated. Ken Min down to 8. Let's see. Only 3 damage on the board here, so I guess another draw with ring is safe enough for this turn if he needs it.
Yeah, it could be a great way to maybe find, some way to answer the subtlety. Raja is tapped out this turn, so only force negation and subtlety are things to worry about. And that's one of the things about modern is, with all of the free spells now, you have to play around these cards in a really real way that you didn't used to have to. When your opponent tapped out before, there's barely a few things they could do. As prismatic ending on the subtlety happens.
Yeah, so that actually gets through. As no force negation is present, may not have been spent anyway. And as a Leyline binding, where is this going to go? Rescue the Narset, perhaps?
I wonder if it has to, because we have a Hall of the Storm Giants from Raja. We're at 8 life with the ring in play. So we might just be dead if we don't have some answer to the Hall of the Storm Giants. I'll tell you this. You asked me at the beginning of the match, who do I not want to play in general? I answered Piper Pal. Who do I not want to play in the control mirror? That's Raja Sulaliman.
Sure.
Super smart and plays it way more than I would ever do it. Or anyone, I think.
Okay. Logic not in hand, but yeah, the Hall of Storm Giants potentially unopposed here.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly there are available answers, and Ken can still draw 3 cards.
Yeah, and so Roger's probably thinking about, can I beat something like a Solitude? Because it does have Ward 3, so Solitude is the easiest way for Ken to beat that. Could technically have a Shark Typhoon. Sometimes we've seen players in the past play that card. Not unreasonable to have like a singular one in your deck. And Raja does know the deck list. Oh, Raja has Subtlety in hand, so that is a, the one that beats up on the other Evoke Elementals.
I mean, for the size of Raj's hand, it's not great.
This happens a lot, right? When you play these like bean and ring decks and like the mid game, because we are like only in the mid-ish game, right? Like there's for a control mirror especially, there's only like 9 lands in play. You play like 25, 26 lands or pseudo lands. So when you draw a lot of cards, sometimes you just kind of flood out against one another.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Here is the activation. And can this seal up the first of the 3 matches? Or no, maybe not. Sorry, I guess I got deceived there. It looked like I thought it was being animated.
I think it is, and it's just in the land zone because Raja's not used to attacking. He's not used to creatures, no blue-white mage. Right. So does Ken have a way to maybe like flicker his 1 ring so it loses the burden counter? Because this is all depending on the 1 ring being in play for the trigger. Obviously, it's not like it's a bad news, right? Like Raja puts his opponent to 1. That's very good for him long term too. But yeah, Leyline Binding doesn't do it against the Hall of the Storm Giants for a couple different reasons. You can just hope Roger gets Ward, I guess. I don't know. Well, I think Binding maybe says non-land permanent.
I would. It has to. Yeah.
Because there's no way it spells out all the other types. So yeah.
Yeah. So not too many cards that could reset the One Ring would even make sense to be in the deck here. I mean, there is the option to draw 3 more cards with McNamara, but yeah, if there's nothing you're drawing to, what are we even hoping for? A way to gain. All right, here it is. I guess if Kenman could find a way to gain life on upkeep before the One Ring kills him, but that's it. Okay. Roger Sulaliman takes down the match.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Ken could have gone activate Ring again, then Manamo again, and try and find 2 Solitudes and Solitude of Solitude.
Yeah. Okay. That would have been clever and exciting, but instead, that match is done. So Roger Sulaliman puts his team up 1, and let's get back into the action.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dylan versus Ivan. Tron versus 4-color, and the Damping Sphere showed up again.
Ivan's saying, how many times am I going to teach you this lesson, old man? As he slams another hate card for the Tron player.
He certainly taught it to me last month. Jerk. Damping Sphere. And Stone Brain. Doesn't even need to wish for him. He just draws them.
Yeah, I wonder if Ivan's like, yeah, when I go to events, Jola sets up my thing. So I bring a little extra Tron hate, goes to the NRG events, and just gets to spite you from the booth as well.
All right, there is green mana in hand, so Boseishu would be able to blow that up for Dylan. And there's a lot of cards in hand. So again, this was a 6 or 7 card keep with a lot of action.
You know the art's better than me. I think we have Tron proper. It's just we have the Damping Sphere in the way.
There was an expedition map in the graveyard, so I assume Dylan definitely could have Tron if he wanted it. There's a Haywire Might. Okay.
It's so funny. Haywire Might exiles it so Karn can wish for it.
I know. It's very irritating. So activating Haywire Might main phase, I was expecting then there to be a follow-up, and there isn't. So Ivan is more free to use something like Utopia Sprawl into something else than you would be otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might be a small misstep there from Dylan. These missteps, you cannot let them happen against people like Ivan. If, Halfling Utopia Sprawl, even maybe another hate card, like maybe Ivan has a Haywire Might or something, all those things could be very punishing for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about things that could be punishing here. Southern Titan would be pretty good. That is not going to be the case. Dylan's going to need to complete Tron here. There's Urza's Mine. All right, so 5 mana remaining for the turn. That would enable Great Creator into something like a Pithing Needle if he's playing it. I don't know that you would shut down Red 6, but maybe you would name Boseiju or...
I like the Boseiju name. I like where your head's at. Yeah. Kind of force them to, Leyline Binding Prismatic Ending to Ferry it or something, if they're going to get to do that.
It is neither of those. It's going to be, a Talisman. A map. All right. So redundant Tron, if Ivan blows up a land, which isn't bad for a turn.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we also have access to things like Boseiju. So, if Ivan goes to if we think Ivan's going to Leyline Binding us, for example, we might just grab Boseiju here at the end of turn, just so we can do that. How many Boseiju Tron lists normally play? 2? Does that sound right? Maybe a third of the board?
It's generally going to be 1 or 2. And if it's 1, there may be an option to have more on the sideboard. I would not expect to see 3 ever.
Okay. Friend and 6 in our Tron deck. Combo deck.
I have argued in the past that Tron, you could say is a combo deck, and I'm not the only one that's suggested that, because you are, casting spells to assemble a ramp in order to have expensive things. They're just expensive permanents, not expensive spells.
Yeah, I always saw Tron as kind of a control deck.
Yeah, that's reasonable also. It does play different ways depending on, how things progress. And also, you could two people could observe the same events and kind of view it differently, because once the things are on the board, it is kind of a control deck. Ivan, okay, so Utopia Sprawl, 1, 2, 4 mana, Karn Liberate, or Karn Great Creator. Let's see if Dylan has a response.
Time to see here. If he grabs something like Tower, you've got to be freaking out if you're Ivan.
Yeah, that's very true. If it says Boseiju, now I think Dylan has a Karn Liberated in hand, so that will be able to pick off the Karn Great Creator if he wants, stopping Ivan from doing anything too brutal in the future. So that means his first wish here needs to count, and the Damping Sphere is right there in exile. Would have been a safer choice if he... Well, it would have been a safer choice because this Karn is not invulnerable.
Yeah, this looks to be a little bit of the team handshake list. If it is, they went down to 1 Karn liberated, so it might be Ivan just playing the numbers here and getting a little got.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Great Creator does get wiped out by his bigger brother, Karn Liberated.
And it looks like...
And all right, Asaga's in. Not too bad of a turn. And Boseiju in hand. Ivan wisely putting the Utopia Sprawl in the basic this game so that he can't get tagged by the Boseiju.
Oh, is this another Karn? Maybe this is why it happened. It's Omnath. Sure.
Yeah, Omnath's still pretty good. Fortunately for Dylan, there's not already a Fetchland in play. Otherwise, his Liberated would fall to the level 3 trigger. But yeah, turn 5 Karn Liberated, not quite the menace of turn 3 Karn Liberated. So Dylan's going to need more.
Yeah,
this isn't enough by itself.
Yeah, luckily Dylan does have a lot of big ones he can draw. Like you mentioned, we are just a Karn the Great Creator away from Sundering Titan. Maybe not all in the same turn quite yet, but if we have a tower in hand, we could do that. Oh, there's Fury.
All right, board reset, but there's also things... Wow, it looks like all land in Dylan's hand.
He definitely has... Oh, he just drew Karn the Great Creator. Okay. So if he goes tower, grab a Sundering Titan, slam it.
It doesn't even have to be a tower because of the talisman, right? He's got...
Oh, yeah.
He just needs any Tron land to be able to... Yeah, to Sundering Titan, and if he's got it, that would be the play. Because can he get the clean sweep? Forest Mountain.
Yeah, I think we do.
I think he can get all effectively 6 mana permanents that Ivan has with a Tron land and a Karn here. But I'm not sure that we know there's a Boseiju in hand. I don't know what the other lands were.
Yeah, I'm not either. I wonder if, let's say, Dylan gets Sundering Titan and Ivan just snap Solitudes it after the ETB trigger. I think Ivan might still just be favored.
That is, yeah, that's possible. That would leave a sizable attack coming through. Karn dies, and then the Saga going off on the next turn. Yeah, Ivan would have more beef. That's for sure. Okay, there's another tower.
There's the Great Creator.
All right.
Oblivion Stones ever sideboarded? I imagine
it happens occasionally, and
okay.
But even if you have one here, I don't think you're doing it because you're giving up your Great Creator also at the same time. And this just seems, if Ivan doesn't have, like, this really puts Ivan to the test. Yeah, okay, land's gone. I mean, there's running 6, sure, but well, I guess even running 6 puts you right back at 5 mana right away, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've played this matchup a ton. My experience is that Tron, like if you have Counterspell in your deck, the matchup's pretty good once you establish a board presence because none of their things besides Ulamog are like actually that good at stopping you long term. And Sundering Titan's like an annoyance, not a problem if Omnath's already in play. So
sure.
I think if Ivan has like a Solitude here or even just a Leyline, I guess Leyline Binding you can't, it's like hard to cast. You have to throw away your land again, but still, like,
well, Leyline Binding is not really. Oh, right, because the Omnath. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
fetch planes and cast it
Yeah.
for your one land.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. Even if Ivan, I mean, he's got so many cards, he's got to be able to do something. I mean, he could go Island Time Warp here. Math is crazy.
That is really crazy. I think at worst, Ivan has Teferi Time Raveler in hand. So we might see the very funny play my Raveler, unsummon your Sundering Titan. Who cares about lands? And then just like kill your car and attack you and then just deal with it later.
Yeah, that's possible, I guess. I mean, we have this okay, there you go. That's probably what we're gonna see then. Drop the car and hit you for something, and then how much can the saga help out here? The Urza saga.
Yeah, I don't know. What are the tutor targets? We can get like a relic. What else?
I mean, we obviously get a cantrip effect. Just be able to make a token would allow a blocker, which would help as the life total is going to start to be under pressure here.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a judge call here. Ivan's possibly asking, does the Sundry Titan have to kill Dylan's own forest? The answer is no, because Dylan can choose the forest as the temple garden.
Yeah. Oh, and then, okay. It looks like that maybe wasn't clear on also maybe the mana that Ivan is floating because he has this Boseiju in hand. That might be part of it. But yeah, the forest doesn't have to die as long as Dylan says, I choose forest as the two modes from your temple garden. Makes me wonder Ivan maybe didn't know about this ruling ahead of time or was out of non-forest lands in his deck to fetch. If Ivan does get to Boseiju here, he'll break up Tron at least for a second. Obviously, or just so I can grab Expedition Map and get it again, but
all right, so he's going to go up to the power. He had enough. Wow. Did he have, 3?
He only needs 1 green thanks to the legendary on the Omnath.
But he had. Oh, right. He only needs. Yeah, you're right. The Boseiju only costs 1, not 2, so he can do it twice. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty devastating. And now Dylan is up against it. 6 comes across to the face, and Karn dies, and he's left with 4 permanent. Well, I guess 5 permanent mana sources and Saga. Mm-hmm. Wow. And this isn't over. I mean, Boseiju can come again next turn from Ivan.
Yeah, and this is what we're saying. Like, yeah, Ivan lost all his lands. By the way, Roger Sulaliman just was successful over Ken. So if Ivan wins this, it's gonna be over for that team. But yeah, this is definitely a spot where it's like the matchup. If you can get things going early enough as Tron are super easy, but once things sort of get established as locked or soft locked, the 4-color deck just slams the door so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And especially Ivan's build here, where this card that get created and all these hate cards. Normally the hate cards are like sometimes people play like Crumble to Dust, which is 4 mana, which is huge and not nearly as impactful. So yeah, Ivan's deck building choices here are really paying off, and you see him kind of like wipe his hands on his pants. He's like, okay, I'm in a good spot. I just need to kind of fade this turn. And if I do, I'm probably a hard lock to win.
Yeah. All right. So for Dylan McNamara here, Ivan still has a pile of cards in hand. He's not going to run. He's going to have 5 mana to use every single turn. I don't think Ren Ultimate does anything relevant right now. Not compared to just being able to play more lands.
I was gonna say, you probably want the Ren to ult so he can't grab Boseiju.
Yeah. Oh, from Dylan's perspective, yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. This relic lets us get rid of the Boseiju. I guess you could go something like pop relic, play a different Tron piece, play an O-Stone, pass, go to 6, drip the Tron land you're missing, pop the O-Stone, play something good, start stabilizing and hope that Brickman wins his game.
Yeah. Clearing out the graveyards would help for sure. Yeah, and hoping Brickman wins is also important because he needs that, because Dylan needs that to happen.
Yeah, we do have the colors floating there for Dylan off the Saga. Oh, do you bring in Dismember in this matchup? Because you could Dismember the Omnath, and that would actually stifle Ivan on the mana.
Most Tron decks these days will have Dismember's main deck, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan took them out. Even if you did leave them in, you're right. That would clean that up pretty well and be very useful right now. Okay, there's a One Ring. That's not terrible. Doesn't help the... Well, is this a Tron land? I mean, chances are most of the lands in the deck are. No, it's another forest.
Dang, I was going to say, yeah, if he found the Tron land here, this is basically like, playing the Ocean and praying, except a lot better, but...
Yeah, he would have had legitimate chances there with the forest. Also, unfortunately, this probably tells Ivan, hey, there's no more forest in my deck, just in case you find another Boseiju at some point. I don't know if Ivan would have another one, but...
I've seen Ivan in the past play up to 4 Boseijus in his 4-color deck. Now, he doesn't normally have Karn the Great Creator, but,
Right.
He's a Boseiju enjoyer, is what I would say.
He's a 4-color control enjoyer for sure, and Ivan's deck is nice. I playing against him last month at a local event, shuffling his deck after a fetch or something or other. I definitely crumpled a card slightly, and then he looked, and then he picked. I was face down. I can't look at it because I'm shuffling his deck, and then he kind of looks at it, and he's like, "Oh, steam vents, super duper foil." But he was able to. It was fine. It was fine. Okay. But yeah, you're playing a deck like that. You worry about that every single time. I would imagine. Hand your deck to some caveman like me, and you're just like, oh, cross your fingers, hope it doesn't come back and wrangled. All right, One Ring draws 2.
I think we just drew an O-Stone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, mana short of playing and blowing that up right now. Not that on the board. Tron decks with Great Creator these days are often in a scenario where they can't board out as many cards as they would like to because there's just not enough cards to bring in, and that varies. I build my sideboards with more colored cards than average, but even I struggle to board out all the cards I want. So Wormcoils may be in the deck right now, whether Dylan wanted them or not, but it wouldn't be bad right now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just a way to even if Ivan solitudes it, right? It just undoes the fury damage, which gives you time to make the land drop for the O-Stone, because you really are it takes a bunch of turns in a row, like we mentioned, but the Ring does a good job of starting to take those turns in a row.
Mm-hmm. There's the Oblivion Stone.
Ulamog in hand for Dylan.
Did Dylan play a land, or he played a forest, right, for the turn? The tapping of the lands. I'm not sure the tapping of the lands makes any sense here for Dylan. There's no reason to tap all the forests. He does have a land drop. Okay.
Well, the land drops with Sage is the problem, and since he tapped his forest, Leyline Binding could be good against this here. It looks like he's going to play it. So, he has 2 Oblivion Stones, so he's going to try and play around Leyline Binding like this.
All right, that's interesting. Next turn, if he has a land drop, he'll get to 8 mana, and he's almost guaranteed to have a land drop because of the One Ring being on 2. So I'm not sure that was necessary, but okay.
Looks like Raj is maybe talking to Ivan about the play. By the way, Brickman beat Zach Allen just now, so this is the deciding match. Oh, we're going face.
Yeah, well, with Ivan actually being out of fetch lands apparently, or maybe saving one for a future turn, but his available mana now is severely crimped. And if Oblivion Stone goes off here, okay.
The prismatic ending, it makes
What?
it so that actually that doesn't matter,
I mean,
right? Because you just had the 5.
Okay, there's a Tron line. That looks like a power plant. Yeah, I don't know if that prismatic ending made any sense because Dylan's going to blow it all up anyway. But Dylan's down to 2, and this One Ring might just kill him.
Maybe that's what Ivan was doing. Is Ivan, by removing that mana?
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
No, you're right. You're right. Just limiting the mana by 1, it may very well be worth it.
Yeah, because no matter what, that card's probably not going to matter for the rest of the game. And maybe Dylan has some way to remove the One Ring, like Haywire might or something. And so if you do this, he can't cantrip into it all and blow the Oblivion Stone up.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's see. Nature's Claim would buy him a turn because it would gain 4 life. He could just Nature's Claim his own One Ring. That's any experienced Tron player is well familiar with Nature's Claiming their own stuff. But again, most Tron players don't play Nature's Claims anymore because they're playing 100% Wish boards. Here's the draw 3. I'll tell you what. Drawing another One Ring this turn, then blowing up the Oblivion Stone next turn would seemingly work.
Yeah, I think that would probably do it. And I think Dylan has some orange card in hand, but I can't tell if it's a Tron piece or a ring. All right, well, we set 2 cards aside, so those might stink. Okay. Dylan's setting up Fact or Fiction piles for the sand.
So if there is a One Ring to then reset and pass the turn, that means Ivan would get to use Teferi and Ultimate Run in 6 probably. Mm-hmm. I guess the bigger threat if Ivan draws a land is able to actually make headway, but that's...
Yeah, I mean, Twitch chat's telling me from some seasoned One Ring players, they think that's the One Ring in hand. I'm inclined to believe them. I think it is too, and this could be Dylan turning that corner. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just figuring out exactly how to sequence his cards, and it's just feeling a little overwhelmed and just putting aside the cards that we think don't matter right now. Don't really have text, Who cares? Long weekend. Got to play well.
We definitely want to drop a Tron line here. I think there's at least a power plant in hand. Anything that's not a tower is great. So there's 6 mana. So you have 7 actual mana for the turn. If we assume One Ring is required, that leaves 3. Not sure that does much. There's a power plant. Something like a scrying for another one. So do you draw with this One Ring? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, unless you draw. Yep.
It puts you right back in the same problem the next turn then.
Yeah, I think this is the classic, the One Ring is the best answer to the One Ring.
Yeah.
And now we just get our turn off, and we're going to hope that Ivan can't answer both Oblivion Stones or the 3 Oblivion Stones from Dylan.
I don't get it. I don't know why we need that, but okay.
I was going to say,
I guess Teferi can bounce 1. Teferi can bounce 1. If Ivan draws a fetch land, he could Teferi bounce Oblivion Stone, Ren in 6 ultimate, and then have 6 mana, and then Prismatic Ending twice need there too. But then Dylan will have the mana to just replay and blow it up in the same turn. It still wouldn't do anything.
Yeah,
this is a really cool game.
It's a very cool game. Yeah, I guess Dylan's thinking I force Ivan to use it now and do all of those things so that Ivan can't do anything else. But Ivan just might be like, yeah, dog, you have the rings in play, the stones in play. I don't care. Like, they're going to all happen. So,
I mean, Ivan is...
Oh, they're counting fetchables.
Okay.
That's a lot pulled up. I think typically it's like from dual lands or dual lands and triomes. It's like 7 to 8, depending on how many triomes you play and how many shocks you play. So I counted about 6 cards there. So it's possible Ivan has 1 left in the deck. Does have a Beanstalk too. Looks like he's trying to figure out exactly how he wants to play the turn.
Beanstalk is not contributing anything to the board that generates card advantage over time is not going to matter because everything's going to die to Oblivion Stone or Dylan's going to die. Those are basically the two only possible outcomes.
Yeah, so maybe, I guess if you had a card like Time Warp, if you had Time Warp plus Ren and 6, you wouldn't actually win because you don't have enough fetchables to keep going for forever. You would buy a turn.
Yeah, you would buy a turn.
Oh, wait. What if Ivan gets Karn the Great Creator in play? He has those in his deck. How many does he play?
Yeah. I know he's played 4 at one point. He played 4 against me a month ago, but I don't know that he beat anyone else besides me that day, so he might have trimmed them back down. Yeah, Karn Great Creator would probably just win the game.
So maybe the Bean is good because the Bean, you have 6 mana. Or you have 7, sorry. So the Bean redraws, your Teferi redraws, and then you just play Karn, call it a day.
That would work.
Ivan probably doesn't have Emrakul the Promise in this build of the deck, although that would also probably get the job done.
Emrakul the Promise in? Well, is that target?
Oh, it does target. Yeah.
That wouldn't do anything. That would just provide one more thing for Oblivion Stone to eat up.
I was thinking you could just activate the ring and then, Dylan dies in like the next turn. But I've been thinking about those beans.
Yeah, this is now it's nice being the last match left. You have your teammates, you're trying to discuss what all you want to be doing here. I guess, well, no, any sort of like a subtlety is not going to do any good here because Dylan doesn't need to play anything. He just needs to use the cards already on the board.
Yeah. Now that we did the bean play, which I think makes sense given that the Karn in the deck is lethal if it's drawn. We don't have the double prismatic ending bounce line, which was just going to tie up Dylan's mana anyway. So
yeah.
Does Ivan have his own One Ring?
There should be 2 mana remaining floating for Ivan here.
Yeah, it's not green and some other colors. I'm going to guess red was used since red's the worst one here. But actually, you know what? You can quote me on that. Ivan's looking at his sideboard.
Well,
he might be seeing how he sideboarded, but
yeah, if he has a Karn, I think it's just curtains for Brickman, Yeoh, and McNamara. But
oh my goodness.
I mean, all these players have to be just buzzing inside right now because this is really coming down to the wire.
This is one of the more exciting matches we've seen here in a while. And looks like Ivan.
Was that a pass? Was that I don't know what to do. Was that if there's a judge watching the match? I mean, I know it's untimed rounds in the top 8, but we have to be getting it to the point where slow playing warnings would be start to be put in here because this has been a long turn.
Yeah, so I think Ivan has 2 mana in the pool, right?
Yeah.
So can we go like? So we have 5. We only have 5 mana total. I'm thinking we can't do that. Never mind. I was thinking we could get a redraw again by picking up the beams to Teferi, but we're mana short. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can pick up one of your things with Teferi. Oh wait, actually, I got the line, Joe. You can bounce your Fury, which then you can evoke the Fury if you have a red card to get another redraw with the bean towards the Karn. Yes, I think that is your best. I mean, I don't know all the cards in Ivan's deck, but I would assume from what I know, that is the best line to get out of here. And Ivan seems to agree.
That might be what he's doing. Hunting for a Karn, huh?
Yeah, Ivan makes drawing a red card kind of an out. The real question is, looking through Ivan's deck when we did looking through the graveyard and all the lands we had, it's possible that this might be the only 3 lands in Ivan's deck that even make mana anymore. So, like, once this Omnath is gone, we're just stuck on 3 for the rest of the game.
Well, that's a concern for a future turn. For now, okay. I mean, Beanstalk comes down. That shuts off the Karn idea. But if he doesn't have a red card, or I mean, he does not have another way to draw a card.
I guess it's possible Ivan also has multiple Boseijus and is. Oh, we have a white floating. It might be a situation where Ivan's just redrawing towards Boseiju per that no land thing in the hopes of drawing the card on the future turns, right? And this turn he's just going to exhaust all the evoke elementals he can to try and find that in order to, hopefully take over this game later. But
I mean, because assuming, let's just assume Ivan doesn't manage to somehow not get the board blown up next turn. Dylan's down 3 Oblivion Stones here. I mean, he's got a bunch of cards in hand, but he's down a lot of cards too. This wasn't exactly an even trade, so Teferi's going to be redeployed. Maybe rescue a...
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to bounce any of Dylan's cards, that's for sure.
No, that's... Yeah.
I guess you could bounce your own bean so that next turn you can take a redraw again.
You could. Alternatively, you would just hold the Teferi, but he's going to...
Well, I've been thinking about them beans, Joe.
There's a fetch land.
And Ivan choosing not to ultimate the Ren 6 is going to pick up the fetch land for long-term gains.
This is either discarding hand size or evoking to increase the hand size before discarding. Okay, it's just a discard.
Yeah, I guess Ivan must need that colored fetch land if he's picking up a fetch instead of ulting, because otherwise you just went to discard, not getting the ultimate, and Ivan is Ivan and Ivan's 2 teammates are both too smart to have that happen. So that might be the last fetch that gets our last color dual land from the deck. And if we have 4 mana, it is possible to maybe start coming back, but it's going to be hard.
2 mana. This is going to be a scrying. Okay, this is going to be Tron here for Dylan, which obviously dramatically increases. Okay, Dylan's going to have some options here. He could, for example, use 1 Oblivion Stone to put a fate counter on one of the other ones, and then blow up the third one, thus keeping one. That would be wild.
Yeah, Dylan set this up last turn, clearly.
I mean, honestly, that wouldn't have been unreasonable. I sure didn't think of it, but it's possible that that's what his plan was.
I mean, and let's say it. People say Tron's boring. This has been one of the better games we've had all day today, at least since I got here.
No, this has been very exciting. I mean, it's been slow, but it has been exciting. And I mean, you have to be careful. I mean, Dylan's still not sure exactly what to do here, which I don't fault him for. I've said this before a few times, that Tron is a deck where you make few enough decisions that I think to be considered a good Tron player, you have to make all the right decisions. You can't make any mistakes because you're not making enough of them for there to be any slack. But I've played a lot of Tron. I have never seen this. The triple Oblivion Stone setup here.
Yeah, and this is a big part of it, You gotta be able to adapt in Magic. Sometimes you have things that come up that you would never expect.
If he can pull this off, he may actually be safe for a little while. It's unlikely Ivan's going to be able to, Ren 6 ping him twice? I mean, that would require red mana for one thing and 2 more Ren 6s. That's not easy to do.
All right. I wonder, production, let me know. Has the rest of the top 8 matches finished, or do we have other people still playing?
Well, if they are done, I hope they're watching this, because this is pretty neat.
Yeah. Here's that.
Yeah, that is what's going to happen. This is so cool. Fate counter, bang, blow up another Oblivion Stone, get rid of everything else.
Yeah, it does remove the fate counter.
Dylan McNamara, this is good work. This was a rough spot to dig your way out of, and It's happening, and there's some coverage for another Ren and 6 if Ivan wants to start, replaying some of these fetch lands. Which, although I think you were saying that fetch lands aren't going to be the problem, it's actual lands at this point.
Yeah, I think if Dylan draws Karn the Great Creator and just Liquid Metal Coatings and starts targeting those lands, I think Ivan. I've been thinking about more like what the list could have. There's like a Boseiju that Ivan might have in his deck, right? And then if Ivan's playing the Otawara, which has kind of gone out of vogue, then he has those lands. But besides that, I think he's just out.
Mm-hmm.
And the fate counter does go away. Tell you paid the toll. I mean, here's the thing. Ivan's got like 8 cards in hand now.
Yeah. But he does not have the mana base to support all that. And Dylan has this. What I don't know what circumstance would have to happen for Dylan to be tempted into activating that One Ring to draw a card. I guess drawing another One Ring would do it.
Yeah.
But an Ulamog here for anything here for Dylan would be great. An Ulamog to wipe out 2/3 of Ivan's mana for the rest of the game would certainly be pretty desirable. And you start thinking about how is Dylan likely to lose? Chat talking about whether Ivan might have a Lightning Bolt in his deck, which would work, assuming he can find red mana.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt is a card we've seen these 4-color decks have in small numbers. I mean, it's not a weak card. That would make sense. Although I think if Ivan had that, he probably would have evoked like the Fury and stuff when he had all the Beanstalks, but maybe not. Maybe he was just, be like, well, also, I just don't think Ivan has red lands. I think that is the biggest problem.
There may be a Prismatic Ending hand, and they're debating whether they should kill the other Oblivion Stone.
Yeah, Twitch chat seems to, some homies of Ivan are saying Ivan typically plays Bolt, and we have a Boseiju on. Oh, we're gonna double check which Tron lands we have more of blown up. I think we blew up the power plant.
Looks like a power plant and a mine are in the exile pile. So, and there's 2 towers in play, I think. So it may not make a difference between hitting power plant or mine.
All right. Looks like a draw step. We're gonna go for it. So yeah, you gotta blow up the power plant, otherwise Tron can't power up. Just it's in the name.
All you anti-Tron players out there, don't listen to Mason. He's got the secrets. Don't let him give you ideas. All right, we have reached the point where something like Karn Liberated can be cast just straight up without Tron for Dylan McNamara and his team. And okay, that's a miss, which isn't surprising there by the Boseiju. 3 forests in play already. Okay, well, there's a scrying to reassemble. But now the real question is, does Dylan have a payoff left in hand? He drew a lot of cards off of One Ring a couple turns ago, so he easily could.
Yeah. I stand by I just don't know how Ivan's going to get the 2 points across. I'm really racking my head. He doesn't have Kahira, I think, in this build. Otherwise, we probably would have put it in hand at this point. So, / I don't know where it is on screen.
Yeah.
So we don't have that. Even if we did, there's an O-Stone. Dylan doesn't need much to win the game. He just needs a threat. Although maybe it's... I mean...
There's a Sundering Titan. There goes Ivan's lands. So now the dream of Ren and 6, 2 Ren and 6 is shooting for 1 is off the table.
Yeah.
The Floodstrand's in play, right?
Yeah, the Floodstrand's in play. There was the play for last turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, now... so this is the weird... I mean, I was talking about we weren't able to cast our spells before.
Ooh. All right.
Stone Brain.
Well, if there is a bolt, this will be curtains on that.
Yeah, and Dylan will know, right? It is open deck list. If Dylan and Dylan's teammates Can do that. Okay. Ivan is going to fetch his last land out of his deck, I think, so that no matter what happens, he has at least one of his last lands. He has that going for him. If Ivan does have the player reward Bolt, he
doesn't have a land to get. Oh. Wow, what a match. Justin Brickman, Ken Min Yeoh, and Dylan McNamara defeat Zach Allen, Raja Sulaliman, and Ivan Espinosa by the smallest of margins in what was, while a slow played, a very dramatic and very exciting final game there.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think chat might have been a little off. Ivan did show us a Steam vent. So I think that Ivan was just like, okay. I think he was just like, I can't actually kill my opponent with what I have left. So congratulations to the team. They were extremely well played as well from Roger Sulaliman, Zach Allen, and Ivan Espinosa. 3 great players we see dominate all the time. So it was exciting to see them come out and crush this weekend.
Yeah, that was entertaining stuff. And and now we're gonna take a minute. That team that just won probably needs a few minutes to compose themselves, and then we'll be back for the top 4. We've got 2 rounds left here at NRG Modern Team Trios event. Thanks for being with us. Stick around. I don't know if we can top that, but we're gonna try.